Hey y'all, hey, we are back for another review of Sisters on BET. Let's just jump right into it. We are on season 6, episode 4, entitled Face the Fire. And so we pick up where we left off on episode 3, talking about the fire. And Zach, like I said in the last episode, Zach rushes out to go check on his dear sweet Karen. Now everybody else is headed in that direction, and they're all in disbelief. Everybody's in the car trying to process what's really going on, trying to figure out, if Karen did or did not perish in the fire. And we know that this is TV, so a good guess would be that she did not perish in the fire, but we'll get to it. They're all in disbelief, and Fatima asked a good question, like, have we really confirmed that this is Karen? But everybody's still upset. Pam was only able to confirm that it was her car in the parking lot and not her actual body or any other type of identifier. Andy wants to call Karen's mom, and Pam tells her exactly what Aaron told her. Hey, let's just wait and confirm that it actually is Karen before we go upsetting her mama. I don't blame them. I don't blame them for holding off because they could, in fact, be wrong. A body doesn't equate to Karen, but when you look at all the puzzle pieces, it gives Karen. It gives that it could have been Karen. However, you don't have any confirmations. So you don't want to get anybody, in a bad headspace or, give her that information and her mom comes rushing that way and gets in an accident or something to that effect. And then, now you have the burden of carrying the fact that, hey, you're the reason that this happened. So I can understand, the concept of let's hold off and be sure that it is before we go spreading the information. I ain't got no problem with that. She tells the girls that she left the curlers on the night before, and, she's under the impression that that is what caused the fire. Fatima calls Danny while they're in the car, and she tells her, like, hey, you need to head to the salon. We ain't got time to answer questions. Just head that direction, and we'll let you know what happens when you get there. All right. Meanwhile, the detective goes in to see Q, and he tells him, like, listen, we saw the footage. We saw you with the gun. What's the problem? Like, do you want to go to jail? Do you want to go to jail? He's like, no. Basically just trying to put it all off on Maurice. He's messed with me, and the detective tells him, like, hey, we see you driving this man's car, and we know the car is stolen. So, again, you're our witness, and Maurice is not our concern, which means, translation, we're not taking him to jail because we got you doing some illegal shit in order to take him down because we believed he did some illegal shit. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, his only concern is having seen Q in the car and with the gun, and he's their star witness, so he needs to be keeping his nose clean at this point. Which, for me, that should have lent itself to you throwing out a little bit of his credibility because they forced you to do it, or you're in on the plan, or whatever it is that you're telling them. You also in a stolen car. You also have a gun on you, and that has nothing to do with Maurice and Sabrina. So you are a little bit more delinquent, which makes you, an unviable witness. It makes you a little shaky as far as the witness is concerned. Not only that, if you have watched enough Law and Order, you will know your witness should not be somebody that was a part of the crime. Because it's kind of like, I don't know, I had the term, I forgot it. But it's like, you have a vested interest in diming me out. But are they going to tell you what legitimately happens? Or are they just going to tell you enough to get out of the hot seat? I don't know what I'm trying to say. I forgot my thought process there. But it's something to that effect. The credibility, that's it. The credibility of your witness. Is it not there? So, for example, like on a case, you have a witness and that person's been to jail before and they're on drugs. Sometimes they'll throw them out because they're not credible. They seem to be a little delinquent as far as society is concerned. So they're typically not deemed a credible witness, of which Q falls in that category. Anyway, the detective goes on to give him one more chance for some strange reason. And the strange reason we found out in the scene is that the detective has a promotion that's hanging over his head, and I'm assuming him getting that promotion is getting a conviction on this robbery case, not knowing you have had the suspect all along, but you want to make a deal, you want to get this promotion and be the hero. So now 2 innocent people are caught up in this, and so he needs Q to keep his nose clean. And he also, and this should have been a nail in the coffin as far as Q's credibility as a witness, because then he goes on to tell him, like, hey, we also got your drug test results back, and there was weed in your system. Now, that again, you have a active ankle monitor on. You are under some sort of immunity type clause. You shouldn't have a gun. You shouldn't be in a stolen car, and damn sure shouldn't have weed in your system. Also, the test ain't viable because I feel like there was an episode, maybe last season, where he had sold Aaron's prized possessions from his deceased father, like his golf clubs, because he was snorting something. You don't snort weed. Don't ask me how I know. I just know what I know. Anyway, mind your business. You don't snort weed. So you're snorting something, a higher power drug, and that needed to come up on his drug test. So Mr. Perry, I ain't like how y'all missed that. But maybe it's been 30 days and it then cycled out of his system. But I know I remember him snorting something and binging with a bunch of other people in Maurice's apartment while they was in jail, for sure. And it was not the ganja. So, all right. Anyway, and he also tells Q, like, hey, get up. We need you back to work. He's like, what you mean back to work? I just got shot. And he was like, no, sir. I'll talk to the nurse and it's barely a graze. So you in here acting like you about to go into glory. And you basically just gotta, I mean, it probably was like a clear through, like, my shoulder hurts. Anyway, it was probably like a clear through, like, it missed anything important, like a clean in, clean out, like it didn't destroy anything, just went through about a bunch of fatty tissue or something to that effect, which means it's not life threatening, which means you're gonna be out of here soon, so okay, your ass back to work. And he's trying to make it seem like, he about to lose the limb, when that's definitely not the case. All right. Moving right along from that, because that kind of picks me out, because he's no longer a viable witness in my opinion, but whatever. The Bayou, Mr. Prince Bayou and Sabrina, they get back from lunch and she's in a great mood. They're just small talking, and there's another knock at the door, and it is Maurice. And we know that Maurice is flamboyant. We know that he's Maurice. He's just giving everything Maurice, right? And so he walks in and he's like, Mr. Prince Bayou, I owe you. I am eternally grateful for you helping me out. Basically just thanking him for the bail. Now, it is in true Maurice fashion, as far as him bowing and being very much extra, right? He didn't touch that man. He didn't mention sex. He didn't do all that. Bayou is being real standoffish, like, he's giving very much one-word answers, not really wanting to interact with Maurice. And he seems very uncomfortable that Maurice is around. And then Maurice is, again, just paying him compliments and just being extra. And Bayou goes on, he doesn't talk to Maurice. He talks to Sabrina and says, hey, can you ask Maurice to leave? You don't see me standing here? That would have been, you don't see me standing here? Anyway, tell Sabrina, like, hey, I need you to leave. And Sabrina's like, well, what's the problem? Calm down. But calm down. And Maurice is like, and Maurice assumed that Bayou wanted him to leave, or he was uncomfortable because he thought Maurice liked Sabrina. And Maurice is like, oh, you don't have to worry about me. I'm not here on anything like that for Sabrina, because I like the men's. Like, I want what you got. Not coming on to him, but he was just clarifying, like, hey, if you think I'm here to hit on Sabrina, I don't like women. To that effect. However, keep in mind, it is in true, exaggerated Maurice form. And so Bayou goes on to call Maurice disgusting and storms out. Calls him disgusting and walks out, storms out of the apartment. He tells, Sabrina, I'll call you later. Boom, storms out. And Maurice tells her, like, Bayou's a little homophobic, right? And she's like, no, I think he's like, yeah. This man just stood in my face. This is my first time meeting him, and he calls me disgusting, which I deem unwarranted. He was just expressing gratitude and letting you know, like, hey, you ain't got to worry about me. I'm not here to mess with your girl. But yeah. So that definitely could prove to be problematic in the future for Sabrina, or whatever. But that wasn't even why he was there. He was there to tell Sabrina about him talking to Q. And she was like, you should have left it alone, whatever. And then she goes on to realize that she has a bunch of missed calls from Danny, and she needs to hurry up to the salon. So now her and Maurice are also headed that direction. All right, Aaron. Aaron is still at the salon, And he's trying to get more information, still harassing these people, even though they told him, hey, the ME, the medical examiner, is not here yet. We ain't got no answers. All you can do is wait. That's literally all you can do. And he is so pissed. He out there cussing. He is giving very much cussing pastor. He's like, I ain't got no damn answers. Like, he want to know about his girl immediately, and nobody is giving him answers fast enough. In that same scene, Zach rolls up, and he is also looking for the same amount of answers with just a little bit more aggression than Aaron can muster. And what's his name? Gary tells him that the medical examiner is on the way. Y'all just hold your horses. Ain't nothing we can do right now. Let's just calm down. So everybody's just rolling into the scene, you know, one carload at a time from different directions, and it is pure chaos. People are crying. People are screaming. Zach is screaming Karen's name at the building as if that is going to help. He's trying to rush into the building. Aaron asks him, like, hey, why do you care now all of a sudden? Now that you think she's dead, now you give a damn about Karen. Like, it's given we about to fight at the scene. It is just utter chaos. It is utter chaos out here on the street, on the curb. And then in this moment, the medical examiner finally shows up, and he's headed inside to confirm that there is a dead body, you know, all the logistics of how it goes. And Fatima is there, and she's present, but she's also cognizant, and she's aware of how Zach is acting, because, mind you, he rushed out to go see, you know, the fate of Karen, which I don't blame him for that. But everything else in this scene is kind of adding to, I'm sure, the frustrations that Fatima's going to have in future episodes. Anyway, she notices that he is very broken up about Karen. I mean, he about to pass out. He can't pull it together. It's going to be a problem later on. I'm definitely sure about that. That's what I got from this part of the episode. Anyway, medical examiner comes back out and confirms. He's like, hey, who's the next of kin? And everybody out there is like, ooh, me. I'm the next of kin. Now, I don't know how they confirm who the next of kin to be. Yes, I do. I have the experience, fool. The next of kin is going to be the immediate next of kin is going to be the spouse, right? And then the oldest child, if they're of a certain age, or a sibling if that doesn't apply. I said all that to say it's about 20 people out here. You know all them damn people with no immediate next of kin, Mr. Medical Examiner. Anyway, and he just gave them the information. He confirmed, he was like, the victim that is inside the building is deceased. No identifiers. That's just what he said. And of course, that's all the information that they have to go on. So, you know, everybody's falling out again and, you know, upset about the fact that Karen is gone. Then about 2 seconds later, Karen rolls up on the scene, and she rolls up in true, you know, Karen fashion. Like, what's the problem? What's going on? And Zach damn near jumps in her arms. Zach sees that it is Karen, and he jumps on her and hugs her and kissing her all over the face. It's giving very much, you know, my baby is back, and she all right, and it ain't no problem. And Fatima is now going to disappear into the background, and we'll get back to that part. All right. Karen and Zach are standing there, and I don't know if it was both of them, but it was at least one of them was like caressing the side of each other's face. Like I said, giving very much intimate partnership. And he offers to rebuild her whole salon. You know, he front the cash to get her stuff rebuilt. And, you know, he's just willing to do anything at this point. And, oh, hear me out. Hear me out what I'm about to say next. I see where Zach is coming from. Like somebody else mentions later on in the episode, I'm not there yet in my notes, but they said, hey, keep in mind that Zach and Karen were in relationship for 3 years. Now the Zach and Fatima thing is fairly new. So I'm going to call it duress, under a duress or a highly stressful situation, he could very well get confused, because I don't even think it's been a couple months for him and Fatima. Like, hear me out. Anyway, I could see how he could get confused and fall back into his comfortability and his emotions and what he feels for Karen, because they just got over those emotions. Now, had he had time to sit down and, you know, let all that calm down, he realized, like, I ain't paying for that. Like, I ain't, you know, he might have prematurely offered to help her and did a couple things in the high stress emotional environment. But I also see where Fatima is coming from, because if you still love this girl so much, so deeply, deep down in your shanana, then you should go ahead and go be with her. I can see everybody's perspective, and they just gonna have to hash that out. I'm sure they're gonna figure it out, because that's the nature of how this TV show thing is gonna go, right? Right. All right. And of course, again, in true Karen fashion with her attitude, she got a little attitude because she mad that she almost has to die for them to show her this much love. Granted, if I'm not mistaken, they just gave her intervention to also help her, you know, her mom did the note thing. Her mom did it. The note thing. And I'm sure she's had a bunch of come to Jesuses with her girls, which also attributes to love. But I guess it ain't on the level of this, because she ain't almost died in those situations. No, that was another situation. Because remember, the man broke into her house and tried to kill her. I can't remember why, but the man that she ended up shooting a couple seasons ago, maybe last season, that ended up dying, that broke into her house, that guy. I'm assuming that they gave her just as much love, so this is not a singular instance. The people love you, girl. Let them love on you while you are here to receive it. That's the long and the short of that. She tells him what happened. She passed out, and Mr. Lewis, he owned the store next door. He saw her, came in and took her to the hospital. Of course, her phone was there, so she couldn't communicate with anybody. Now she is back to assess the damage to the shop. She didn't realize that somebody actually died in the fire, and Mr. Lewis is like, dang, you know, that's messed up, but it could be one of the homeless people that hang out in the back of the building. You know, sometimes they burn trash, or, you know, I guess they just hang out back there. And the, Emmy or fire marshal, somebody does confirm to the group that, hey, the fire did start out back, like outside of the back door, and spread up to the roof in the building. And it definitely wasn't attributed to the curler. So Pam, you know, you can ease your guilt a little bit on that. But it should also be a cautionary tale to you to, you know, get on your P's and Q's, but, you know, you're not at fault in this instant. Or are you? Just had a thought. Or are you? Because had you not left the curlers on, the fire just would have been the fire, and Karen wouldn't have been in the situation. She wouldn't have been in the salon to start with. You know what I mean? Because while she didn't die, like, you don't know if she had smoke inhalation, smoke damage, and with her being pregnant and all of that high stress, you know, maybe there may be effects. You just don't know at this point. So again, cautionary tale, like safety at all times. All right. Moving right along. We also learned in this scene that Miss Karen probably did not have insurance, and that is a problem for me. That's a problem for me. Why is that a problem for me? Because everybody in your immediate circle is or appears to be educated, professional women. And it appears that you guys have been that way since college, which means that this is my bias, presuming you guys to, you know, have your heads on straight and to have those type of things covered. You should have just had insurance. That's just one of those things that you should have. I mean, Andy's a lawyer, and I'm sure she sees this type of stuff. Well, no, she's a divorce lawyer. Maybe she did some internship somewhere else, but I'm sure, you know, this is something she would have advised you on if and when she was made aware. Either way, she don't have insurance. But also, to go against that, to play devil's advocate, Danny was saying to Pam, like, hey, this is all she has left. So that could allude to the fact that her finances may not be, you know, to the level of Andy or to some of the, well, Andy, I think Andy is attributed to be the most successful out of the girl group. Anyway, I said all that to say you should have had insurance on your business. It's a business. Sometimes you have to have certain insurances to be in certain businesses. So I don't know how that slipped through the cracks, but we'll figure it out when we have to. Pam tells Zach that she saw Fatima leave as soon as, you know, he jumped into Karen's arm, and, you know, she made sure that Karen was okay. He's probably going to be in trouble later, so he should go figure that out. She called an Uber, and she left. It's like, again, as soon as she saw that Karen was fine, she got the hell up out of Dodge, and so now we're going to have to deal with that for about 5 or 6 more episodes, I am sure. All right. Erin calls Pam to apologize for blaming her for the fire earlier. She didn't leave the curlers on, but she did leave the curlers on. In fact, the curlers were left on. That is an absolute fact. But it is not what caused or contributed to the fire. Sure, we got nowhere with the apology because Pam was back to her old annoying self. And so, such is life. All right. Fatima and her homegirl Angela are at the bar, and she asks Angela, she asks Angela, like, hey girl, am I being stupid? You know, I put up with a lot as it relates to Zach, and I just want to know that I'm not being dumb. And she tells Angela the whole thing, you know, the whole thing that happened. And Angela reminds her that he did think she was dead. And again, she reminds them, like, they were together for 3 years, so there could be a little bit of love left in there. Doesn't mean he wants her. He was just, you know, maybe caught up in the emotions of thinking that she had died. Also, keep in mind that there is a baby that is potentially Zach's that could have played a role in his emotional response as well. So just cut him a little slack. Give him a little bit of grace. Just talk it out. It'll be fine. All right. And she goes on to tell her that, she goes on to remind her, like, hey, you had some emotions when you saw your long-term boyfriend too. Now, I don't know where that correlates in this episode. Like I said, I'm not sure how Fatima correlates to SISTAS, or if they're, you know, in line. But what I do know is in the Fatima series, one of Fatima's ex-boyfriends got diagnosed with cancer or something to that effect, and asked her to either help him out or make sure his family is fine after he's gone. Something cumbersome, something that has an emotional impact to that effect. And that was in like earlier episodes in one of the earlier seasons of Fatima. So you know, she should be able to understand, but she doesn't think the two are the same. So again, they're gonna argue about that, and they're gonna fuss about that for quite some time in the upcoming episodes. All right. They're back at somebody's house, Andy's, and they are hugging Karen to death. They're just happy, you know, that she's okay. The near-death experience put a lot of things into perspective, as they tend to do for a lot of people. Danny goes on to bring up Zach, how Zach was all over her, and, you know, they don't really want to talk about it. And she also brings up how Fatima noticed it. And Danny also goes on to say that she felt bad for Fatima, which I can see. I can see how she felt bad. Andy is so high in this scene, she doesn't even realize that she's in her own house, because she's been trying to get them to change topics, and she's like, no, y'all, I'm finna go. And they're like, girl, where you going? You're at your house. Put the pen down and just calm down. So I guess we all got off of that subject. For me, it would have been too soon to be trying to get that deep in the murky waters, but it's Danny. She don't really care nothing about time, place, none of that. If she wanted to talk about it, that's what she wanted to do. Now Danny, since you won't be in anybody else's mix, now you got to tell the girls why Preston rushed in to your, you know, to your side as well, and she don't want to talk about it either. Karen goes on to tell them in this scene that while she was at the hospital, the doctor came in to see her and to check on her, and to confirm and tell her who the baby's father actually is. Because I think she had an appointment the next day to get that information anyway. And that's how the scene ends. In the previews for the next episode, Karen wants to tell the baby daddy first Karen wants to tell the baby daddy that that's his baby first before telling her friends who the baby daddy is. I think it's Aaron. My vote's gonna be for Aaron, and that's just my hope. That's my prayer, my thoughts, and my wishes. I hope it's Aaron. So y'all could just deal with that independent of Zach and Fatima, because I'm sick of all y'all dealing with each other, and we can have some separations going on. Karen tells Aaron that he ain't gonna drive her crazy like he did them other women, because he does something about him drives women crazy. And I may have said that in the other episode after the lady that was at the shop, but something about Aaron makes women crazy, and that might not be synonymous to Aaron himself being crazy. And I use crazy subjectively because that's not a catch-all for, you know, everything that could be going on in somebody's head. But you got your wife that, you know, offed herself on the sake of you, and then you got this other lady that you claim that you dated, and she didn't want to leave you alone, and now she's acting crazy. So that's you 2 for 2. The odds ain't looking real good. You're 0-2. It ain't looking good for you, my boy. But I'm sure we get to the bottom of it. And as for Karen, for you to say he ain't gonna make you crazy, I don't know, because you gave a little bit of crazy when you was trying to end things with Zach. So that you may also be, you know, number 3 as far as the crazy ladies are concerned. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Anyway, that was season 6, episode 4. Let me know what you think about the episode in the comments. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And I'll see y'all in the next one. That ain't my outro. Like, comment, share, subscribe. But whatever it is I feel like doing. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.